come do the prayer. Hang tight. If you guys would all rise.
It's always fun to shift gears from encouraging gambling to saying the invocation. So let's take a moment and give thanks. We gather today as citizens of Raleigh, thankful for the opportunities that we have to serve. We're inspired by the motto of service above self and all the ways we can make a difference in the world. In particular, we're thankful for our fire service sector of our city of Raleigh and also around the country, who exhibit service above self 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're thankful for the opportunity to hear from the fire marshal about the efforts they're making to keep our city safe. Bless this food. Thanks for the people that prepared it. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the republic, which is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, beautiful for stage, forever waves of praise, for purple mountains stand above the primitive light of America, God shed His grace on thee, and crowned thy good brother from sea to shining sea. Excellent. And today we've got an introduction of guests, and I've got down Miss Jen Rodriguez for our introduction of guests today. Jen, if you'd come take the mic and tell us who's in the room.
All right over here, Matt, I'm going to start with you. You're getting your first reading, so all right.
My name is Matt Cook. I'm here as Tommy's guest, and I'm with Spengler Ration.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Any other guests? We'll hear from you soon.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. And thank you to our guests for being here today, in particular my guest, Matt. Glad you're here. All right. We've got a section today that's new, a little bit unusual, called, oh, hold on. Up, or you do it. Okay, here we go. All right. New section, a little bit unusual. What this is, we call this section Rotary Friends, and we were talking about lasting friendships. This was kind of a crazy thing. Apparently, Corey was on his way to his new job up in Boston and was on a plane with John Cates. So they hooked up on the airplane at total random. And then when they were up in Boston, John was kind enough to bring Corey and his partner, Corey and his partner, out to dinner. So the four of them went out to a real nice dinner in Boston together after running each other on the plane. These are just kind of the coincidences and the happenings of Rotary, but it's a good example of how friendships kind of leave our room and go other places. So kudos to John for looking out for Corey. Corey's going to join a new club up in Boston, I believe, when he gets there. So, wow. All right, Maddie Marshall. Is Maddie here today? I don't think Maddie's going to join on Zoom. We were just making sure that everybody knew. Maddie's actually our director at large on our board of directors. And somehow that had been left out of previous communications. But it's an important thing for the club to know. And if you have concerns that you want to talk to Maddie about, by all means, get with her anytime. And she'll be happy to assist you. But Maddie's been an awesome new club member. She's going to do great in this role. We're all very excited to have her. All right. Let's see. Okay, so the Rotary is creating lasting impact. Every year, Rotary theme. And if you ask me, like, the words kind of sound the same or go together. But this is a good one this year. I like the creating lasting impact because there are things that we can do in a single year that end up rippling through a larger period of time. That's really a good multiplier of our efforts. So we like that. Are you supposed to switch or am I supposed to switch? I should ask you this before we start. Yeah? All right, I'll switch, I guess. Okay. Nope, other way. All right. The other down? It's the other down. There we go. All right. So a little bit of an update. Our club has a tradition of the incoming Rotary president going to the Rotary International Conference. Sometimes that's Chicago or Houston. Sometimes that's Taipei. In my case, it was in Taipei, which is in Taiwan. And so I went out to the international conference, which was a spectacular experience. If you've never been, whether you're a Rotary president or not, by all means, make the time to go to this thing. There are Rotarians from around the world, 35,000 of us in total that showed up in Taipei. So it was a zoo. In a couple of these photos here, just for fun, to the far left, these are a couple of Taiwanese guys that had lunch, just happened to be at our table with my daughter and I. That's my 8 tagged along with me. I think the Taiwanese guy to the right thought she was a lot older. I think that's how we all got to lunch together. But he was very respectful, so I was down with that. On the right end, a flag with us. You think a Rotary has flag swappers, but that's the only flag we swapped the whole time we were there. It's really unusual, but neat guy we got to spend some time with. In addition to that, there's some real coincidences on this page. This page gets crazy. Okay, first of all, top left, these are some formers that were at the conference presentations from Rotary. In the middle is a lady in a Wonder Woman costume. If we're lucky, she might be a speaker this year. We'll see. But she runs an organization to end human slavery is her thing. So trafficking and slavery. The top right, raise your hand if you got 11 p.m. while we were up early at 11 a.m. watching the Canes win the cup. Anybody? Canes? Yeah? Go Canes. So that's my daughter and I watching the Canes win the cup on the top right. Just below that is the two of us in the convention hall. The convention hall there is the Taipei Dome, which is about the equivalent of filling up the Lenovo Center of Rotarians. They had so many Rotarians, they had to do 2 sessions in the Dome. They had a morning session and an afternoon session because we couldn't all fit in there at the same time. That's how many folks were there. It gives you an example. Bottom left. Raise your hand if you're a club member. You remember Charles Edwards, prior president Charles Edwards. You guys know this guy, right? How Rotarians come together. We're all the way over in Taipei. I'm sharing a cab with this lady. She's Charles Edwards club president in Oklahoma. So go all the way around the world to Taipei, literally around the world, and find this lady from Oklahoma who knows Charles Edwards. So we took pictures and sent him pictures and notes, and then later in the morning where he was. Tough stuff. I hope he felt loved anyway. And then okay, I think that's all of them. Yeah, I think that's what we have. There was one more really cool coincidence. Ended up talking with this guy Ed, who didn't make the slides this morning, but got to talking with him. Turns out he's at the Durham Club. Turns out he's one of the guys that goes with Kevin Summers every year to the Dominican. Which is a really special trip. And if you guys don't know about that trip, I'd encourage you to get up with Kevin, because if you're a Rotarian who hasn't experienced the international piece of Rotary yet, you're missing a whole amazing piece of what we do. So talk with Kevin if a trip like that would be interesting to you. But that's a quick recap. We met some amazing people. We heard some amazing ideas. There's stuff that we're going to be doing this year that's born out of this trip. There are ideas that were learned here that we're going to carry through our club this whole year. So I'll identify those as they come up during the year, but it was not time lost, that's for sure. I felt like I was touring, but I also certainly felt like I was working too. So, all right, so there's a recap for those of you that are curious about how that went. Really, really impactful, not just for me, but for our club. All right, we've got some housekeeping here. We'd like to talk a little bit about this housekeeping. The club is trying to do a good job not having a bunch of accounts receivable out there. If you can imagine, we're a volunteer organization. We are all here voluntarily. And it's tough to go out and chase people for money or call them or, hey, your invoice is due, or hey, can you help? And we've been really lucky. Tom Holder and Linda do just a beautiful job of being delicate with folks, reminding them that something's due. But the board would like to take that work off of them. We'd like to go to auto draft, which is just each month, the amount that you have due draws from your account, and there's nothing for you to do, and there's nothing for the club to do, and everybody stays up to date all the time. Unless for some reason your draft doesn't go through, in which case we'll reach out to you and help you get that fixed. But otherwise, we would like for the club to go to all auto draft. You do have to opt in, so you need to let Linda know that you're interested in that. So if you're someone who would be willing, for the club's sake, to go to auto draft, we would love to have 100% or as close as we could to it. On your way out today, would you stop at Linda's table and let her know if you're willing to go to auto draft? Because that would help our club tremendously. So, and if you have I was going to say if we had questions, go ahead, Richard. You can go any payment option. I mean, we don't take first foreign, but we're flexible otherwise. So. So there is a fee. There's not a fee that's attached to ACH. So if you sign up as an ACH, there's no fee attached. If you sign up as a credit card, it's just a little bit. Pete? So please bear in mind that Pete Ciccone knows a guy. All right. For the Italians, look, there's no accident that Pete and I ended up in this count. So depends on who you ask. Just wait and see if you like the books at the end of the year when we get done, right, Pete? So, no, just joking, just joking. All right, but this is an important thing. If you're willing to help the club out, please stop at Linda's on the way out. We'll talk about this in future weeks too, but we'd like to do as much of this as we're able. We have a membership update. However, Diamante is not available today. Harrison's going to fill in and get us a quick membership update. You guys remember this dude, don't you?
Thank you, President Tommy. Woo! Man, free at last, free at last. Man, well, yeah, Diamante couldn't be here today, but how are we all doing today? How are we all doing today? Let's ring the bell again. There we go. Well, very good. So today I had the pleasure of meeting this morning with Nick Wood. Nick, come on up. We had a wonderful coffee, and I'm honored to be his sponsor as he comes into looking at becoming a member of the Rotary Club of Raleigh. So to give you a quick bio on Nick, just before with this being his first reading. So you grew up in Washington State. His parents were born and raised in Asheville, though, so that was his connection to Raleigh. Back in 1999, after graduating from high school and doing some community college, you transitioned over to UNC, which I'll hear some whoop whoops about that probably. But got your undergraduate from UNC, got your law degree from UNC, and then went into law. But found out that not for long, found out that wasn't your cup of tea, but loved the advocacy piece of things. And in 2020, you found your calling to a small farmer association to be their policy director and lobbyist. And since then, you've launched your own consulting firm that does lobbying, and you lobby for, kind of give an idea of what kind of lobbying you do.
I work primarily for nonprofits, kind of the local food security intersections, supporting our farms and getting food access for people who need it, as well as childcare. I work for a Western North Carolina coalition on that. Compost. Yes, compost.
I learned quite a bit about compost actually today during our coffee. But outside of all that, Nick has a heart for his community, from what you do from the lobbyist side, working with nonprofits, as well as just wanting to give back to your community individually. And he's excited to get connected with the Rotary Club of Raleigh. So if you haven't done so, please introduce yourself to Nick. Try to grab a coffee with him, whatnot. He lives in downtown Raleigh, so he's got some great coffee shops around that you can meet with. But truly looking forward to having you be part of this club. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And we have our second reading. We're supposed to have our second reading for Bray, sponsored by Tiffany. I don't believe Brandon was here today. And I think Diamante had his response to the Y Rotary like we typically do for, unfortunately, we don't have that. So we're going to have, during his induction, before he gets inducted, tell his why. So that is it for membership.
Wonderful. Thank you, Harrison. Appreciate that very much. Great update. We got a service update with Mr. LaMantia. Come on up, sir.
There we go. Good job.
We're wannabe baseball players,
Yes.
but we're getting better.
We're working on that. I also love the Rotary themes every year. For all of you that didn't know it, I used to own 6 art galleries over my career, and our theme was always, "We are a problem." That was the motto. All right, do we have a slide? Who's got the? Oh, yes, Madison from the service committee. What do you have for us? That's fabulous. Thank you, Madison. And the sign-ups out there. I thought it was the one out in Wake Forest. I don't know if I'm the only one that picked that up, but if anyone might need a guide or going out there, I may re-sign because I don't have a car, so I may be. Yes, sir. $100%. And last year we raised $700. We're looking to improve on that this year. Also, cans for the Salvation Army. There still is a big need. And I see that table is full again. So if every week through July we can do that, these are the items that we need. And thank you for sending that out. Let's keep bringing in cans for the Salvation Army. All right, thank you all.
Excellent job. Wonderful. And Maddie, thanks for jumping in on that. That was cool. All right, very good. Birthdays and anniversaries. We've got a birthday. I think we're talking about today, right? Today's the 13th. Mr. Kevin Summers in attendance for his own birthday. All right. Charlie and Pete, you guys usually lead the singing. Can we kick it off? Birthday. Our club has the tradition that if you're in here in person for your birthday, we're going to take the time to sing to you. So, Kevin, thanks for coming. And anniversaries, Jim and Wynn Dorsett, 42 years. Pretty awesome anniversary. Good stuff. Here we are, some upcoming. We have been working really hard this year to get great speakers, and the guys will enjoy the lineup. Today is a great example. I think you're going to enjoy today's speaker. And here's some folks that are coming up. Adrian Cole from Raleigh Chamber of Commerce, our own district governor, Patrick Gallagher. If you haven't met Pat yet, he's a neat dude. He's a good speaker too. It'll be a lot of fun. August 3rd, Tom Oxholm, Education is Everyone's Business. Tom is somebody that was referred to us through Mary Moss, and every time this guy's name gets brought up, somebody says to me, "Have you heard him speak?" So apparently he's good. Maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt it. Usually anybody that comes with Mary Moss's endorsement is a great speaker. So we've got great speakers lined up. You guys try and come in for those meetings. We've got a raffle today. John, you want to come tell us about the pot?
Thank you, President Tommy. Yeah, today's raffle winner will win $65. And if they pull the ace of clubs, they will win an additional $837. So, cards, I'll just show you. Somewhere in here, there is an ace of clubs. Is it? There is an ace of clubs. So, somebody can be a winner today.
you better put here. Shuffle while you
Oh,
pull.
Thank you, Paul. The winner of today's raffle is 144663. 144663. Come out. Yes, I can verify he is the winner.
Am I gonna pull it again? See. Yeah. No. Oh, kid, go ahead. Listen.
Oh,
Seven.
there you go.
sir.
Thank you.
7 of hearts.
All right, the prize next week will be bigger.
There we go. John, thank you for doing the raffle today and for all your hard work on it. Let me send these cards back with you too, sir. There we are. Wonderful. John and I will keep removing the winning card until we raise a lot of money. It's a joke. We're not going to do that. Okay. Cart, bucket, and happy dollars. Our very own Charlie Upshaw is happy to do today's happy dollars for us. Charlie, if you want to come on up, see what they got to brag about today.
Thank you, President Tommy. I'm happy to see my buddies up here. Yes, sir.
I just won. That's why I'm happy.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. It's been nice being with y'all today.
No vacation,
No.
no grandkids, no graduations, no nothing, huh? All right, very good, very good. So be it then. All right, let's see where we are. I think we're up to our program, as a matter of fact. So you guys are in for a good one today. I'm in the world of insurance, and unfortunately, the world of insurance touches fire in a lot of ways that we don't want to. But today we've got an expert here to talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna go with Lem. So did I get it right? Okay. Lem Hubbard, fire educator and deputy fire marshal here in the Raleigh Fire Department. He's been City of Raleigh for nearly 20 years, so he's not new. For the past 10 years, served as the primary fire educator for City of Raleigh Fire Department. He goes and does things like school programs, community events, senior safety presentations, smoke alarm canvassing, public education campaigns, and he helps make fire safety information practical and engaging and easy to understand. Basically, he's the application guy that gets this stuff done so that it's not in theory, but it's in practice getting finished. He's known for having a unique and reputable approach to delivering fire safety education. He'll tell you a little bit more about that, but he's kind of got an approach that's not the same as everybody's. He helps all ages, all backgrounds, using creativity, energy, and real life examples to help the community to understand how to prevent fires, stay safe, and respond during emergencies as non-emergency personnel. He's got a passion for public service and community education. He continues to make a proper impact on our entire community throughout Raleigh. If you guys wouldn't mind, please put your hands together for Lem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The Rotary Club. For the past few minutes, I've been learning about the Rotary Club. I've heard about it for years, but I didn't quite know what it was. And the one thing that I read and I learned about is this is the business of serving. And as firefighters, we are in the business of serving. And so I commend you all for wanting to serve. And, I think, we should serve together. Let's do something this year with the fire department and Rotary Club, get together and let's impact our community, because that's what I'm all about, impacting community. And today, we've got a presentation about fire safety that is somewhat unique, somewhat different. And we're just going to have a conversation about from the stove to the smoke alarm. And one thing about fire safety, the fire safety in and of itself, 9 times out of 10, if you have a fire in your home, it's going to come down to a behavior or an accident. So our goal today is we're going to highlight a couple of behaviors and we're going to talk about it. And let's leave today with the create a lasting impact in our homes that we can prevent fires. All right, you guys ready? All right, let's roll. So, a bit about myself. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia many years ago. And when I moved here 20 years ago, I became a firefighter. And I wasn't planning on becoming, and he told me about the fire service. When I found out how helping people, how such a noble profession that it is, and that they only work 10 days a month, I was sold. I'm not gonna lie to you. 24-hour shifts that you can work, and then I can have the rest of the days off. I was like, that sounds amazing. And so, but then also when I got into the work of being a firefighter, I mean, I remember my first code save. It happened where this lady had a heart attack in a Wachovia building at her daughter's wedding reception. All right. So I remember going up the elevator and starting CPR on a young lady at the middle of a wedding reception. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, she comes back to our station and says, hey, listen, I'm glad you were there to rescue me. That was my first save. And that was the impact as firefighters that we make. So as a firefighter in this business for the past 20 years, I enjoy the city of Raleigh. I enjoy coming to work every day. And as a fire educator, it's my duty and my privilege to let's reduce the amount of emergencies that we have and fires that we have. And we're going to do that through our conversation today. Let's talk about fires. So the biggest difference today than it was 40 years ago is that the fires in our homes, the materials within our homes are built with synthetic materials. When those fires start, they burn hot, they burn toxic, and they can burn in less than 2 minutes. 40 years ago, if you had a fire, you could stay in your home for up to 10 minutes and get out safely. Now, once a fire gets going, you've got less than 2 minutes to get out. And the smoke is so bad, it really can kill you instantly if you breathe in too much. And that's what's so dangerous about having fires today. We've got 5 major fire causes that affect our homes. And today we're going to focus on cooking as the main one, but space heaters are dangerous, smoking can be dangerous, electrical and candles. But our number one cause of fire is cooking, and that's where we'll spend a good amount of our conversation. Now, the biggest thing, one of the main tips I want you to know is to stay in the kitchen when frying or cooking food on the stovetop and never leave cooking unattended. Now let's talk about cooking for a minute. Now, who loves to eat great food? Raise your hand. I love great food. Now, I also love cooking great food. Growing up, you shake your head, you don't like to cook great food? Well, I love cooking great food. Growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, I grew up when a lot of homes, they would make fried chicken, mac and cheese, pot roast, all these great Southern meals. And when I had them and I tasted them, like, oh, these are so amazing. And I grew up with girls in my household who didn't want to learn how to cook. So I decided myself, if I'm going to survive in this world, I got to learn how to cook. Let me tell you what my sister did. Now, I love collard greens, right? Now, my sister made collard greens for us one day, and she cut it up, she put water in there, and she boiled it, and that's all she did. It was the most terrible thing I've eaten I still remember the grit and grind of eating those greens that day. I was like, this is disgusting. So from that day forward, I made it my own privilege to learn how to cook, and I learned how to cook. There was this old-time cook from New Orleans that used to come on PBS, and he used to say, guarantee. I don't know if anybody remember that old-time cook, but I would watch him on PBS and learn from Emeril Lagasse because he cooked great food, and I learned from a lot of Southern cooks. And so when I moved to Raleigh and I joined the fire department, being a firefighter is that firefighters can cook. I mean, they can throw down. And I was like, you know what? I'm in the right profession. And so I remember one of my first Sundays, I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna cook for you guys today. So I'm using fried chicken meal. I had marinated fried chicken, excellent crispy. It was good. We had mashed potatoes, gravy, homemade butter biscuits. And you know what? Everyone in the house like, oh man, that was amazing. It was the top thing that I've done. And every Sunday when we worked, I would cook these amazing meals in the fire stations, from lasagna, and I would just be throwing down. And so a few years later, I've been working, cooking these great meals at the fire. I'm gonna go home and surprise the wife and cook her an amazing meal. All right. So before I go any further in this story, I want to preface this. I was not a fire educator, right? But I was a firefighter, not a fire educator. Firefighters put out fires. That's an important thing I want you to remember as I go down this story. So as I started preparing to cook this meal for my wife, the day before I ate the chicken, I had it all prepared, 24 hours, marinated in butter, Texas Pete, and some other special seasonings. And I got the potatoes ready. I got all the sides ready to rock and roll and go. And so I had everything ready. Now, if you've ever cooked with oil, when you put oil in a pan, you've got to wait till it warms up. So I'm preparing to cook, and I put the pot full of oil. And while I'm waiting for it to warm up, I make the decision, say, you know what? I want to step away from the kitchen for a second while the oil is warming up and watch a little television. Now, bear in mind, in my house, my living room was over here and my kitchen was over here. So I let the oil start to warm up, and I sit down and watch ESPN. Now, I don't know how long ESPN, but I do know I started smelling the oil, as it started to burn a little bit. So I get up and I go into the kitchen. I get in front of the stove. And as I sit in front of the stove, I look in the pot and the oil is hot and it's glistening. I say, oh, this is prime time for cooking excellent food. The oil is extremely hot. We're ready to go. So chicken set up, I have my breader set up, and I go to the process of beginning to cook the food. So as soon as I grab the chicken and I put it in the breader, all right, and I double bread it for excellent crispiness, as soon as I put that chicken thigh in the oil, it started to like rumble and boil, and all of a sudden it caught fire right in front of me. I had flames all over the place, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? So I start panicking. When you see flames in your home and you don't have the gear to put it out, you start to panic. So all I knew was I need to smother this fire. So I grabbed the closest thing to me was the flour breader, and I poured it on top of the oil, and it put the fire out, but black smoke is coming all up and smoking the place up. I was like, oh man, I don't want to smoke my house up. This is terrible. So I opened the door to the patio, and I grab the pot and I go outside. Guess what happened when I took that pot outside? It flared back up again because I created more oxygen in the fire. And then from there, I got more flour and bread, and I poured it on top of it. And I had the smoke alarm going off. I had smoke and flames and burns on the stove. It was terrible. I was like, and then my wife comes downstairs and she looks around. She says, I'm not cleaning this mess up. And she goes back upstairs. And my only saving grace was, man, at least I don't have to call the fire department. Because I don't think I would have lived that down. But that was one experience that I had as a cook, on how quickly and how easily we have cooking fires. You want to know how often in our city we have cooking related fires? Once every 3 days that someone calls the fire department because they have a cooking related fire. And for the past 10 years, over 120 to 150 cooking fires every year. It's all because we've got bad behaviors when it comes to cooking safety. And my goal today is, let's talk about these bad behaviors. What was my first mistake? Leaving the kitchen. When you're cooking with oil, you gotta stay in the kitchen. All right. And so when I left the kitchen, normally I would stay in the kitchen and I would mop the oil, and as soon as it gets hot enough, that was my pattern for years. But when I came back and I started to cook, I created a big fire. And so staying in the kitchen would have prevented it from happening. The next mistake I made was when I had a fire, there could have been a better way to extinguish the fire. Instead of grabbing flour or salt or anything else to put on top of it, if I had a form-fitted lid or a cookie sheet while I was cooking, I could have easily smothered it and put it out. I wouldn't have had the mess. I wouldn't have had that terrific story to tell you, and it would have been really fires in the kitchen. But last but not least, what I really shouldn't have done, I should not have moved the oil and hurt myself. I've told this story before, and one man told me, he said, yeah, I did, but I fell with the oil and I burnt myself really badly. All right, I could have really injured myself really badly, or the pot could have been too hot. It could have burnt my hand really badly, all from what I didn't do. But when it comes to cooking, we've got to stay in the kitchen. And if we gotta leave for any reason, as a whole, let's turn off the stove and come back to it when we're using oil on the stovetop. All right? That's when it comes to cooking safety. And the other biggest danger when it comes to cooking is you don't want to cook if you're drowsing or are medicated or heavily intoxicated. All right, we've had too many fires from people when they're sleepy or drowsy. Like if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you got a hanker for something fried, I recommend you eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and go back to sleep. All right, now let's go back. Work for me. I am. Huh? Oh, there's a delay? Okay, I pressed it like 200 times. All right, let's talk about smoke alarms. So, smoke alarms are extremely important. How many people have lived in your home over 10 years here? Now, did you know you got to replace your alarms, the device itself, every 10 years? All right, if you haven't, you lived in your home over 10 years, after 10 years, radioactive material, and after 10 years, you can have an alarm you if your alarm is over 10 years. Recently, we went out to a community in North Raleigh, and the home HOA president reached out to me and said, hey, listen, we got a lot of seniors in our community who need help with smoke alarms. And I can help you. I said, yeah, I got quite a few. And so she sent me the list. And when I saw the list, I was like, okay, it's only like 7 homes. I can come out there and do it in a day. But apparently, have you ever looked at the email too fast? Well, she had a list for every single street, and it was about 20 streets. So it was about 75 homes that needed help. And I was like, what are we going to do? So I put a team together, firefighters and deputy fire marshals. And for 3 weeks, we went out and we canvassed the homes, and we installed new smoke alarms in that community. And all these were homeowners who lived in their homes for over 20 years. A lot of these people bought their homes in the 80s. And I promise you, we saw smoke alarms that were so old. I mean, they were, you remember Sears Roebuck? When I have a smoke alarm made by Sears Roebuck, it is an old smoke alarm. So we went through and we were able to engage that community, tell the seniors how if you need help with your smoke alarms, the fire department is here for you. That's one thing that we could do. We'll come out to you. If you're no longer able to change the batteries or climb the ladders, you can reach out to the fire department and they can assist you with your smoke alarms. And I want you all to make sure that you check your smoke alarms and make sure that if they're over 10 years old, let's get them replaced. Because the one thing we don't want you to have is a fire in your home and you don't evacuate because it's not working. And so, but if you need help, you can reach out to your local fire station here in Raleigh, and we're here to help you. And last but not least, we gotta make sure that you plan escape from your home if you have a fire. Now, if you lived in your home for a long time, you know your home better than anybody. But if you have a fire in your home, one of the things that's gonna happen is it gets so dark, it gets so black, you're unable to see. So that's why it's important that you plan your escape to get out of your home. Now, if you have a lot of black smoke in your home, we recommend that you close your door and you don't traverse through smoke. You call the fire department, we'll get to you in 4 minutes. That, to me, we lost a lot of people in fires by evacuating too late. Once the alarm goes off and you got black smoke, one thing I find that can be really, really important that you can do is you can sleep with your bedroom doors closed. If you sleep with your bedroom doors closed, if you have a fire in your home, it can get up to 1,000 degrees outside your room, but maybe 100 degrees in your room. You can survive in 100 degrees, but over 1,000 degrees with a black smoke, you can't survive. So with my 2 little boys, one of the things I do is I close the door when they sleep at night. And me and my wife had this argument of why, if we have a fire, they can survive if the door's closed. All right. So one behavior that I would love for folks to do is to close your doors when you sleep in your bedrooms at night. If you have a fire, it'll prevent the fire from coming into your room and you can survive. And then also making sure that everyone knows what to do when the alarm goes off. Now, one message that I've always told people is, if at work we have fire drills, at school we have fire drills, but have we ever had a fire drill at home with your family? All right, not fire drills at home with your family. Because learning how to escape, learning how to evacuate is essential. If you were to have a fire, having 2 ways out of a room, making sure the windows in your home are working so you can get out if you have to evacuate. And last but not least, if you do have a fire, shelter in place. Put a towel on, make sure you're able to call 911. Do I have any questions? Yes, sir. Turkey deep fat fires? I mean, just asking. So I will say, every year we do a demonstration turkey fires. I mean, normally every holiday season we may get one or two. We've been really folks who cook turkey fryers. It's all about, it was a bigger danger, meaning because folks were doing it for the first time. But my biggest advice for you, if you were to, now I personally like an infrared turkey fryer that doesn't use the grease and oil that I purchased, which I think works really well. It actually tastes just as good as the fried version. But for the most part, we don't really have many of those fires. But it can happen, but normally it's maybe.
You mentioned that there was furnace quickly as they do now.
That's correct.
Is that because the materials back then, and if so, was there a replacement?
So, what's up? The biggest danger is, like many years ago, the products that we had were natural. You know, we had natural wood. I remember going to my grandmother's house. Have you ever, and we used to sit on her sofa and get stuck on the plastic, you know. But she had hardwood furniture. The materials were just natural materials. Now we've got petroleum-based products in everything that we own, from our chairs to our blankets to all these cool-looking things in our home that look really fancy. When they burn hot and toxic. So our homes, the materials, we've got so many synthetic materials in our homes. When they burn, it does burn hot, it does burn toxic. And that's what makes it difficult today. That's the reason why it's, you know, I don't see industry changing to go back to all natural, because it's far more cost effective with the synthetic, because they can mass produce these materials. And you know, natural resources, you know, we got to maintain our natural resources. So Those synthetic materials are here to stay. They're inherently safe when they are not on fire, but when they do catch fire, they can be pretty toxic. Yes. You had a question in the back? So when it comes to cooking fires, the biggest thing I want you to be mindful of is your traditional fire extinguisher is not great for a cooking fire, like a traditional ABC fire extinguisher. The reason being is most ABC fire extinguishers, when the agent comes out, it comes out at about 100 pounds of pressure. And so when you shoot at the base of the fire with the oil and grease, that agent hits the grease and causes the grease to bounce out and spread fire. And it's been known to bounce back on people and burn them. But if you do have a fire extinguisher, make sure you get a kitchen rated fire extinguisher. All right. It's a typical BC extinguisher. The agent does not come out as forcefully, and it's a layer between the grease and the fire to smother the fire, but it's a BC for kitchens. So, but also, I actually a form-fitted lid or a cookie sheet or something metal that I can cover over the pot to smother the fire. I'm not a big fan of fire blankets, mainly the fire blankets. You got to put yourself in the fire, all right? You got to go over it and lay it over the fire to smother it. So when it comes to blankets, I say, but indoors and fires, I like a fire extinguisher because you're away from it. I like a form-fitted lid because I can hold it and I can slide it on top of it and it doesn't put me directly in the fire. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, you still got to get out of there, but the beauty about being in a sprinklered building is the sprinklers designed to help you, all right? No one has died in a properly sprinkled building, all right? So if the building is properly sprinkled and once it goes off, it's going to go off in enough time that'll put the fire out, prevent it from spreading. The alarm is going to sound and you should be able to evacuate. And that's going to be the smoke. So if you're in a sprinkler building and it goes off, it's going to create a lot of water damage, but you should be able to evacuate. All right. What's your question, sir?
Are there any summer programs for training for high school and college students that you promote get people to enter firefighting?
So we do have a program called Explorers, and it's a program that's it's actually a year-round program. They meet every Mondays. It's from age 12 to 17, and they're actually learning about being firefighters in our Explorer program. So that's one program that we do offer. I think we're going to open up our enrollment again in the fall for new people to join, and the program kind of goes throughout the year. Now we are looking at having some summer camps that we're looking to offer to the community here soon. We have one going on right now, but we're looking to actually maybe plan a couple of more so we can engage more people in terms of summer programming. So, yeah, yes. Staffing. So from what I can tell from staffing, we're the biggest issue that we have is we'll have our numbers, but accounting for how many people take off every day, sometimes that affects our staffing. So, but the biggest thing is we lose people every year for retirement. And as our bigger academies retire, I mean, it's a matter of, as we lose people, being able to hire people. I think the hardest part about it is when we lose a captain or a lieutenant, you know, that's 30 years of experience. And, you know, that's kind of hard to get but our process of hiring is strong. I know we have 2 academies going this year, so I think we are making strides to help our staff. I know we try to be as competitive as we can be with other bigger cities of our size. And what's the second part of your question again? Everyone is fully staffed. We don't have volunteers. There's no volunteer. So we're a fully paid department. We don't have volunteer firefighters in the city of Raleigh. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned smoke alarms, new problems, stuff like that. How often are you doing CO2 related issues?
It does happen. I will have to look at the numbers, but when it comes to CO2, what's really important is making sure you are having proper maintenance of your home furnace, because most of our CO2 calls comes from our furnace. When the furnace goes bad, if you're not having annual maintenance, we do get CO calls. So majority during the winter time comes from improperly burning of natural gases, like natural gas or propane. If your furnace starts to burn improperly, that's going to produce CO. That's why it's really important to have working CO alarms in your home. I will have to look at the numbers in particular, but I do know we get several of those calls every year. Yes, sir. How many cats? Absolutely. So all firefighters are EMTs. So when we join the academy, one of the first classes that we have is to become an EMT basic. So because about 60 to 70% of our calls are medical calls. So we're constantly continuing education. We're constantly doing medical training to learn what new tactics that are effective. So in order to be a firefighter in the city of Raleigh, you've got to be an EMT. And then on top of that, our medical calls is what comes next. So all firefighters who work in our city are EMTs. Yes. How can this help our organization? I got to think about that. Absolutely. Okay. Yes. That's a good question. So I will say this: for our newsletter, we send out a monthly recipe, a quarterly recipe from our department. But I mean, as soon as we get enough recipes, we could put together a cookbook. That would be kind of cool. Yes. Electrical fires? So when it comes to electrical fires, the biggest thing I want you to be mindful of is, number one, not overloading your outlets, okay? And then being mindful of Let's just say you have a power strip, and what are you putting in your power strip? There are certain items that you should never put in a power strip, like a space heater. Space heaters need to be directly into the wall. Or if you're gonna, any device that really, like, there are some devices that use a lot of electricity that needs to be plugged directly into the wall. And then also, and then also when it comes to electrical, if you don't overload your outlets and making sure that the items that you have are UL listed. You don't want to have any items that haven't been listed by UL or a reputable company, because that's when we have fires. I'd never recommend anyone to buy any power strips from the dollar store. You want to go to a place that has a reputable UL electrical items, and that if you're going to get surge protectors, making sure that it's just from a reputable company. That's what I recommend. Yes. I personally haven't. I probably had to check with our investigators if we have any more of those.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Guys, Lem's obviously a wealth of information. For any of you guys that have additional questions, we got to ask a bunch. To hang out and hit another one. Since you kind of bore a piece of your soul, I'll bear you a piece back. I had a firsthand experience with the Raleigh Fire Department this year. My neighbors were greatly alarmed when I was smoking my brisket, and we had 4 trucks respond to my house for my brisket, and it ended up being a good brisket. Nothing was wrong. And after the guys came back, checked everything out, and asked all the questions they needed, the first non-work question was, how long till this is ready? And the timing didn't work out, but I hope I'll get to make them another one. So in thanks for all of your good information, and also in penance for my bad practices, we'd like to extend you our Rotary Club of Raleigh coveted coffee mug. You can suck it back at the station using this great mug. And it's got our 4-way test on the back that talks about what we think should be good rules about how to act out there. And we'll do the 4-way test up here in a second.